Okay, so let's start out talking about teas with the caffeine part. Most people have been taught that the caffeine is highest in black tea, then it goes to oolong, then it goes to green tea, and the least amount is white tea. Not necessarily true. So they're all the same plant. They all have pretty much the same kind of caffeine in them. The difference is you get more caffeine from black tea, mainly because the way you steep it. It's steeped at a higher temperature for longer amounts of time. If I take black tea and I steep it for 1 minute at a lower temperature water, and I take green tea and steep it for 3 minutes at a higher temperature water, I'm actually going to get more caffeine from that green tea than I am from the black tea. And so any plant that, any tea that comes from the Camellia sinensis plant, the tea plant, has the same amount of caffeine. It's how you steep it depends on how much caffeine you get out of it. Now, people are going to be like, well, what about black tea leaves that are caffeine free? The natural way that they take tea leaves and reduce the caffeine from it is they actually steep it. So they steep it at a low temperature water for 3 to 4 minutes, throw that water away, dry the tea leaves back out. They're still full of flavor, but you've taken out at least 30 to 40% of the caffeine. Now, there's chemical ways and processes and, manipulation of the plant that they do this as well, but I don't get into that side. So, and then I've also been told, well, it's an herbal tea, so there's no caffeine. Again, not necessarily true. There are herbs other than the tea plant that have caffeine. One of the ones that people know the most about is cacao nibs or cocoa nibs. They have a natural caffeine in them. There's other ones besides that. There's guarana leaves. A lot of the energy drinks that you get that say caffeine free or no caffeine added, they use guarana leaves, which has a natural caffeine. So they're not adding additional caffeine, but you're still getting caffeine. And so you have to be careful of what's in your tea if you're sensitive to caffeine. Because I can take an herbal tea and with the ingredients I put in it, have just as much caffeine in it as you would have in a black tea. You can also take a black tea, double steep it, and lose most of the caffeine out of it. So just know what you're drinking, know what you're putting in your body, and we'll keep going with this to teach a little more about the teas.